Have you ever found yourself waiting for him to choose you, believing that once he finally does, everything will fall into place? Do you wonder if he even sees the depth of this connection, or if he's still running from his own truth? You're not alone. Many on the twin flame journey find themselves stuck in this painful uncertainty, thinking that union hinges on his ability to say yes to love. But what if that's not the real test? In today's video on Spiritual Universe, we're peeling back the illusion to reveal what this final test is really about. It's not about you, and it's not about proving anything. This is a sacred inner battle that the divine masculine must face alone. We'll help you understand the deeper spiritual mechanics behind his silence, his hesitation, and his seeming distance. You'll uncover why his awakening isn't triggered by pressure, but by an honest confrontation with his own soul. By the end of this journey, you'll stop waiting for a surface-level gesture. You'll begin to see the sacred truth. Union isn't something to chase. It's something that rises naturally after he surrenders to the truth within. This video will shift your perspective, away from hoping he'll come forward, and toward understanding what must spiritually occur before he can. You'll walk away with clarity, peace, and perhaps even compassion for where he is and what he's truly being called to face. Are you ready to see beyond the surface, to finally understand what the final test truly demands, not of you, but of him? Then don't look away. Watch this video all the way through, and if you feel the truth stirring within you, type in the comments, "I see the shift." Your story may be the very mirror someone else needs today. Let's rise together. Number 1. The unseen test begins. To the untrained eye, this moment might seem like a romantic turning point, like the divine masculine is finally ready to choose his divine feminine and take that long-awaited step toward union. But the truth, beloved, lies far beneath the surface. This isn't just a love story, it's a soul initiation. What's unfolding now is not about choosing a person, it's about choosing himself. And that choice is far more sacred, far more complex than it appears. Because the real test he faces isn't external. It isn't about the physical space that has kept him and his counterpart apart. The true battle lies within. The final frontier he must cross is not the distance between bodies, but the chasm between his current self and the parts of him he's long avoided. This is where the unseen test begins. It is the moment when the divine masculine is called to stand still, not to run, not to reach, but to confront. To confront the shadows that have ruled his decisions, to face the fears that whisper he's not enough, not ready, not worthy. It's not romantic love that's being tested here, it's courage. The courage to sit with his pain, the courage to acknowledge the grief he never named, the courage to look himself in the eye and say, "I will no longer abandon you." This is a sacred reckoning, not a gesture of affection. It's not about proving love to another. It's about becoming whole enough to truly love at all. He cannot fully meet the divine feminine until he has met the lost, silenced parts of himself. And in this silence, in this vulnerable, crucible-like space, he begins to remember who he is. Not the man shaped by the world's expectations, but the soul beneath the armor, the one who has always longed to come home. So if it looks like he's hesitating, know this: he's not stalling. He's searching, not for her, but for himself. The final test isn't whether he chooses her, it's whether he chooses to heal, to grow, to rise. And only then, from that awakened place, can he reach for her, not out of need or escape, but out of wholeness. This is the unseen test, and everything depends on whether he dares to take it. If you've made it this far, take a moment to breathe and reflect. What resonated with you in his silent battle? Can you feel the weight of the inner war he's been quietly fighting? This journey isn't just his, it mirrors parts of your own. So before we move forward, I invite you to pause and share your thoughts in the comments. What part of this unseen test spoke to your soul? Or simply type, "I witness the shift," as a powerful affirmation that you see beyond the surface. And if this message stirred something within you, please like this video and share it with someone who may need this reminder today. Let's continue this journey together. Number 2. Standing at the threshold of fear. Have you felt it? The subtle shift in the air, the quiet tremble beneath the surface. It's not hesitation rooted in doubt about the connection. No, it's something much deeper. He's not questioning you. He's facing a far more personal storm. The battle within himself. This moment is not about whether he loves you. It's about whether he can finally love himself enough to step forward. The energy you're sensing is the vibration of a soul confronting its own edges. He's not afraid of the union itself. He's afraid of being seen within it, fully, completely, and without pretense. The idea of vulnerability terrifies him, not because he doesn't want intimacy, but because he was never taught how to hold it without collapsing. For so long, he's been conditioned to be the protector, the provider, the one who hides his wounds behind armor and silent strength. But now, none of that works. Not with you. Not with this connection. Because this bond does what no other has done. It sees right through the facade. It dissolves the masks. It holds up a mirror to his soul and gently, relentlessly asks, "Can you meet yourself here? Can you accept the parts you've buried?" This isn't a test of love. It's a test of self-acceptance. And it is perhaps the hardest threshold he's ever stood before. As reunion draws near, he isn't running away from you. He's facing the deepest question of his life. Am I enough as I am? And in that sacred pause, where fear meets the desire to rise, the universe waits for his answer. The reunion you've longed for doesn't demand perfection from him. It demands truth. And truth, in its rawest form, begins with the courage to see oneself without shame. So if you're sensing distance, silence, or retreat, look deeper. It's not rejection, it's reckoning. He is not turning his back. He is turning inward, standing at the threshold of fear, where every soul must pass before it can truly meet another. Number 3. The sacred aloneness of his journey. To the divine feminine, this moment can feel excruciating. It's a season of silence and stillness, one where you find yourself watching him from a distance, standing at the edge of his becoming, suspended between fear and transformation. You see his hesitation, his internal struggle. You feel the depth of his pain, and every part of your loving heart wants to step in, to guide him, to soothe the ache you know he's carrying. But you can't. Not this time. Because this part of the path, no matter how deeply intertwined your souls may be, is his alone to walk. It's not a punishment. It's a sacred initiation. This isn't the kind of journey where your presence can carry him through. It's the kind where his soul must meet itself in the mirror of his own silence. No reassurance, no holding, no love outside of himself can substitute for the reckoning that must now unfold within. This is not about him surrendering to you or choosing you. That moment will come. But first, he must surrender to himself, to the parts he's rejected, the wounds he's ignored, the boy inside him who was taught that strength means silence and that vulnerability is weakness. He must unravel those lies and stand naked before his truth. And that's not something anyone can do for him. When he stops resisting his shadows and begins to embrace who he is, raw, imperfect, and real, that's when his energy begins to clear. Not because he's trying to earn love or prove worthiness, but because he's finally coming home to himself. That inner union is the foundation for everything that follows. So, if you're in the waiting, aching, wondering, know this: your stillness is not in vain. Your presence, your trust, your ability to hold space without interfering is not weakness. It's divine strength. You are not being asked to fix him. You are being asked to trust the sacred solitude of his becoming. Because when he returns, it won't be as a man looking to be saved. It will be as a man who has finally remembered who he is. Number 4, the quiet reckoning. This test is not loud. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or grand declarations. You won't see it marked by sudden messages, passionate confessions, or sweeping promises of change. This reckoning moves like breath in the dark, quiet, intimate, and soul deep. It unfolds in the stillness of sleepless nights when his thoughts refuse to rest. It echoes in the pause between heartbeats, in the spaces where words no longer work, and silence says everything. This moment doesn't ask him to prove anything to anyone else. It asks him to face himself. It is in this unseen terrain that the real question emerges. Can he stop running, not from you, but from the truth of who he is? Can he put down the mask he's worn for so long? The one that says he's fine, that he doesn't need help, that vulnerability is weakness. Can he stop pretending to be the version of himself the world demanded, and finally love the man he sees in the mirror, even with the wounds, even with the flaws? This is not about choosing someone else. It's about choosing himself, completely and honestly. And if he can do that, if he can find the courage to sit with his pain instead of escaping it, to meet his fear without flinching, then something profound begins to shift. Not in his words, he may still say nothing at all, but his soul, it starts to sing a different frequency. A new vibration enters his field. His energy begins to align, not with who he thought he should be, but with who he truly is. This is the quiet reckoning, and it changes everything, not by force, but by the sacred stillness that invites transformation from within. Number 5, the feminine's role, holding space, not the burden. This part of the journey may feel confusing, even cruel. You can feel his energy shifting, see his soul wrestling with itself, and yet you're asked to do the hardest thing of all, not to interfere, not to chase, not to fix, and not to carry what isn't yours. As he faces his inner trials, your role is not that of a rescuer. It is something far more powerful. You are the still point, the rooted flame, the quiet force of love that remains unwavering, not because you're waiting, but because you're remembering your own worth. This is where true divine feminine power rises, not through control, persuasion, or proving, but through embodiment. You become the anchor in the storm, not by holding him together, but by holding yourself. You don't shrink to make space for his fear. You expand in your truth, in your softness, in your light. That is what creates the space he needs to return, not to someone desperate for his love, but to someone who is love. Your faith in the connection isn't passive. It is not weakness. It's sacred strength, the kind that doesn't demand, but simply is. The kind that trusts the soul, bond, without needing a timeline. The kind that knows his journey is not your burden to carry, but it is one you can witness from afar, with grace, not grief. In this space, you become a mirror of what's possible. You show him, not with words, but with your energy, what it means to live whole, to love without attachment, and to remain open without losing yourself. That is your sacred role. That is your offering. Not to rescue him from his shadows, but to shine so steadily that, one day, he finds the courage to walk toward the light you never once dimmed. Number 6, energetic confirmation and signs. Have you noticed the shift? The dreams that feel more vivid, as if you're speaking in realms beyond words. The synchronicities that seem too precise to ignore. His name showing up unexpectedly, numbers repeating everywhere you look, songs playing at just the right moment. Even in his absence, there's a strange, undeniable closeness, a sense that he's near, not physically, but energetically. These moments are not random. They are not tricks of the mind or mere coincidences. They are signs, subtle but powerful confirmations from the universe that something is aligning beneath the surface. You may begin to notice that even the silence feels different now. It's no longer hollow or heavy with uncertainty. Instead, it hums with something sacred, like presence, like possibility. It's as if the universe is speaking in a language only your soul can hear. Every pause is filled with meaning. Every quiet moment becomes a portal where energy speaks louder than words. This is how the divine communicates when the physical world is not yet ready to catch up. Through energetic whispers, through the gentle reminders that what is meant for you is not lost, only in motion. And that motion may be invisible, but it is not inactive. These confirmations are invitations to deepen your trust, not in outcomes, but in the connection that exists beyond time and space. So, when the signs come, through dreams, through numbers, through the feeling that he's close even when he's far, don't dismiss them. Lean in. Let them remind you that energy never lies. Your soul knows what your eyes cannot yet see. This is not a fantasy. It is resonance. It is alignment. It is the unfolding of something real. Trust it. Number 7. After the test, a different kind of return. When he finally crosses that sacred threshold, when the inner test has been met with honesty, humility, and heart, his return won't come wrapped in grand gestures or poetic declarations. Don't expect fireworks. Expect presence. He won't return as a flawless hero, polished and perfect. He returns as a man who has faced his shadows, wrestled with his fears, and looked into the mirror of his own soul and didn't turn away. He may not say everything you've waited to hear. In fact, he may say very little, but something in him will feel different, steadier, grounded. There will be a calm in his presence, a depth in his silence, a truth in his gaze. The energy he brings won't be frantic or unsure. It will be quiet, stable, and real. And that, beloved, is how you'll know. This is a different kind of return, not the reunion born of desperation or fantasy, but one rooted in truth. He doesn't come back to complete you. He comes back because he has become whole enough to stand beside you. No longer afraid of being seen, no longer hiding from love. And you? You'll notice the shift within yourself too. There will be less ache in your chest, less waiting, less reaching. You'll find yourself breathing more deeply, smiling more softly, not because he came back, but because you did, to yourself, to your center, to your peace. And from that place of sovereignty, you no longer cling. You simply allow. You're not waiting anymore. You're not wondering anymore. You are just being, radiant, full, and whole. And in that state of being, love finds its way back, not as a rescue, but as a reflection. If you've made it this far, it means your soul resonates with this truth on a deeper level. Take a moment to pause and reflect. Have you noticed the subtle shifts within yourself? The way your longing has softened into peace, the way your energy feels more rooted than restless. We'd love to hear your experience. Share your story in the comments, or simply type, "I am becoming the peace I once searched for," as your affirmation. Your voice might be the mirror someone else needs today. Let's continue growing together. Number 8, the deeper realization, a mirror for both. This isn't just his test, it's yours too. What he's facing isn't only a personal reckoning, but a profound reflection of your shared soul contract. His fears, his hesitations, his tendency to pull away, they echo something deeper within you. You may think he's the only one being challenged, but the truth is, his journey is a mirror, revealing the very places where your own healing still waits. When he retreats into silence, when his energy seems to vanish, do you find yourself grasping tighter? Do you feel the urge to fix, to chase, to anchor the connection with effort? That impulse is not wrong, but it is an invitation. It is your soul's gentle nudge, asking you to trust what you cannot see, to loosen your grip, not as an act of surrender to loss, but as a bold act of faith in love's higher intelligence. His crossing of the threshold is not separate from your own. You're being asked to rise with him, not through force, not by waiting and hoping, but by becoming. Becoming the version of yourself who no longer needs to prove her worth. Becoming the woman who no longer defines love by presence or absence. Becoming the soul who understands that sacred union doesn't begin in another's return. It begins in your own remembrance. This is not about rescuing him or holding space for his delay. It is about standing side by side, equal in depth, equal in awakening. You are not the savior. You are not the wounded healer waiting on the shore. You are the mirror, the reflection, the counterpart undergoing your own transformation. So as he faces his darkness, let it awaken your light. As he hesitates, let it be your cue to move boldly inward. This is the sacred choreography of twin souls, two flames igniting their own fires until without effort, they burn in the same direction. Not because they need each other, but because they've remembered they are the same. Number 9. True union. Not a reward, but a resonance. Union is not the finish line. It is not a prize for who endured the longest, who waited the most patiently, or who proved themselves worthy through suffering. True union arrives not as a reward, but as a resonance, a natural, magnetic result of two souls who have done the sacred work of becoming whole within themselves. It doesn't come from longing. It comes from alignment. When both of you pass your tests, when the divine masculine stops running from his own heart and the divine feminine stops abandoning herself for love, something subtle yet profound begins to happen. The energy no longer pulls or repels. It harmonizes. And from that harmony, the path forward becomes clear. Not because one is chasing and the other is choosing, but because both are now choosing from a place of sovereignty. This kind of union isn't fueled by need. It's rooted in remembrance. It's the echo of souls who no longer seek to be completed, but who reflect back to each other the fullness they have already reclaimed. There is no dependency, no desperation, no clinging. There is only mutual recognition. I see you. I've met myself. And now, I meet you. This is the sacred essence of true union. It is not loud, but it is undeniable. It doesn't rush, but it arrives with certainty. It doesn't beg to be seen, but when it appears, it transforms everything. So, if you've been asking when the union will come, the deeper question is, have you come home to yourself? Because when two self-fulfilled souls choose to walk together, not out of lack, but out of love, union is no longer a question. It's a vibration, and it becomes inevitable. In the end, it was never about convincing them to choose you. It was never about chasing a moment, fixing what was broken, or waiting for a grand declaration of love. This journey has always been about one sacred thing, truth, and not just his truth, but yours. The real test was never external. It was internal. His final awakening is not about returning to you, but returning to himself. And the same is true for you. The moment you stop grasping and start embodying your worth, everything shifts. The longing becomes quiet. The ache turns into wisdom. And suddenly, You're no longer searching, you're simply seeing. What remains isn't a fantasy, but a reality anchored in presence, in peace, and in the purity of choice. Not choosing each other out of fear or lack, but choosing each other because you are whole. This is not the ending your ego hoped for. It is the beginning your soul always knew was coming. A union built not on illusion, but on inner alignment. A love that doesn't beg, doesn't perform, doesn't prove, just is. So if this message resonates with the quiet knowing inside your heart, let it be felt and spoken. Comment below with the words, "What remains is truth." Let that be your affirmation, your stand, your energetic signature. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this truth. And if you're ready to walk this path fully awake, fully embodied, then stay with us. Watch the video below and let your next step be one of deep remembrance, because the truth has always been here. And now, so are you.